I'm Mary Hunter. I'm Development Director at Angel Flight West, and I'll be going over a brief review of our results from this prior year and all of our lessons learned. I'll also be joined by 3 of our awesome board members. So Mark Wolper is here, and he's the president of the Wolper organization and film producer who chairs our fundraising committee on our board and also chairs our Endeavor Awards event. So he'll share more about that shortly. But Mark's been a volunteer with AFW since 1997 and has done over 100 missions. Justin Demko is also joining us. He is a financial managing director at UBS and has launched our Stocks Take Flight giving program that he'll be speaking more about with the benefits of donating stock. Justin's been a volunteer since 2015. And Denise Wilson is also here with us. She is a jet acquisition consultant at jetAVIVA, founder of 3 aviation companies, and a generous supporter of our legacy wing. So she'll be speaking more about planned giving and how she's supporting the future of Angel Flight West. Denise also first joined the organization in 1998, so another longtime volunteer. If you can mute yourself, that'd be great. Again, any questions you have, type into the chat and we'll address them as we can through the program. So again, as a quick introduction, I've been with the organization for just shy of 4 years next month. I've had the pleasure of working with this amazing community and learning from aviation industry leaders, as well as healthcare leaders and the generous supporters who have a deep passion and belief in our mission. It's an incredible testament to our volunteers that we are able to continue to make such life-saving impacts in people's lives. If you did have the opportunity to tune in to Josh's starting session on Monday, you know that we have a lot more that we want to accomplish together. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention our mastermind behind the scenes here. Henny Almio is from our development team who's managing this presentation and will be able to help address your questions to our guest speakers. So our team internally also includes Carolyn Jackson, who's an associate and has been with Angel Flight West going on 10 years. She helps track all of our donors and reporting for auditing purposes. Kathleen Masser is our grants manager who's been with Angel Flight West over 20 years. So she's our lead storyteller and manages the whole grants team efforts. Adrian Rockwell is the grant writer that's been with us 10 years as well and is diligently focused on growing our corporate partners. And then Kim Okamura is our newest grant writer who's been with the organization 2 years, and she's helping us with a lot of these new acquisitions. So we often get the question that if our pilots are donating the flights, what are we fundraising for? And our answer is that the most valuable thing you can do for AFW is volunteer. We have an incredible return. Every dollar donated is matched in kind with $7 from our donated pilots because of your amazing in-kind gifts. So to better give a bigger picture of our operational revenue, we do include these volunteer donated flight amounts as $8 million as our operating revenue, but our operational cost is actually $1.8 million, and that's what we're fundraising for. And that covers our hardworking team, arranging missions, and increasing the efficiency. So here we go. And our infrastructures. So we've identified our need through our services, through our Ascent to 8,000 mission capacity campaign that we launched in 2015. And this started after a study from our healthcare partners at UCLA Medical and the Ronald McDonald House showed that Angel Flight was actually only really servicing 5% of what we could, 5% of patients that we could be helping. So with 600,000 raised in seed funding, we started outreach sprints around our regions and really took this time the last 4 years and as an implementation period to test what can work and where more support was needed. Then COVID hit and challenged all of our current standards and protocols, but our team stepped up and took to the challenge, and together we were able to rise above and really strengthen our community of supporters. So you're welcome to get into the weeds with us with these protocols and projects and join our development committee. So here is a look at our results in the prior year compared to 2019. But more details will be shared on Friday during our board meeting finance committee update. But the highlights that I want to point out here are that Endeavor Awards was canceled this last year. And instead, we were able to launch an emergency assistance fund, which was an online campaign that a lot of our Endeavor Awards sponsors actually rededicated their gifts towards. We were able to hold our golf tournament in the fall in person. So that was one of the, safest things we could do together. And we did adjust the whole program to be safe with individual tee times. We canceled the cocktail hour. We did activations on the course. So some of these things we learned that were really successful that we actually want to put forward to tournaments in the future. Our grants team stayed really on target and were able to actually exceed our adjusted goal. And this is the first time that we have grant funding in all of our wings, which is really incredible milestone, except for Alaska, but we're working on it. The yellow section there is our end of year campaign where we raise about a third of our annual operating budget in just a matter of months. So this is a time where we were really worried essentially that we wouldn't hit our goals because we asked our donors to give much earlier in the year when we normally would ask at the end of the year. But we were pleasantly surprised with this incredible amount of support. People were able to donate again, and amazingly, we just came just short of our goal. So overall for 2020, with the inclusion of the PPP relief support and the emergency assistance fund, we did end with just a deficit due to the loss of Endeavor Awards, but we were able to take support from our reserves to cover that, and that we'll go into more detail again on Friday with our finance committee. So I mentioned some lessons learned and how we gained some efficiencies through our messaging and communications. So we created virtual pilot lounge Zoom sessions in the summer to keep our community engaged and up to date with all the organizational efforts towards the COVID concerns. We stayed aggressive in our fundraising campaigns and outreach. Some treatment cannot wait, even in a pandemic. We contacted our partners, our sponsors, many of our major donors directly and gave them updates. And many of them were very supportive and generous and able to exceed their gifts as well as remove any restrictions to their funding so it could go towards operational costs. And if you weren't able to tune in to Josh's session, we did receive an amazing unsolicited transformational grant this end of year from the Hilton Foundation that is going to be put towards this year and the following year. This is a major capacity growth that's going to affect our operational efforts and our Ascent to 8,000 initiative that I mentioned earlier. And some of these projects include a brand new website, replenishing our passenger assistance fund. We're gonna have a new donor database and be able to do a lot more tracking and relationship building and targeted messaging to our donors, and some more outreach and communication support. So that's really exciting as well. Hopefully on the slides you can see some examples of some communication that we've been able to share. There we go. Both direct, so by mail and online. And then our 5-year plan is a brief growth projection of our revenue streams that we are hoping to support all of these projects that the Hilton Foundation gift was able to initiate. I just want to make a note of the events row where you'll see in 2021, there's a big jump with Endeavor Awards, and Mark will speak about that in a little bit. And then in 2022, there's a bigger jump where we hope that we can all be together and celebrate in an in-person event. So with all that, I'm happy to introduce Mark Wolper, board member, event committee chair, and event to tell you more about Endeavor Awards. Take it away, Mark.
All right, thanks, Mary, and great job to all your staff for getting us through last year for sure. So, you know, every year we have a big fundraising event called the Endeavor Awards. This year 2021 will be our 7th one, if you count last year's one, which we didn't really have, yet we still raised $210,000 and we didn't even have an event. So, you know, that turned out better than we expected, but not as good as we wished for. So the Endeavor Awards, just so everyone understands, is a big fundraiser, and it's an event that we have live, a big red carpet, black tie event that we have under the Space Shuttle Endeavor in Los Angeles, California, to raise money. The reason we do it, besides raising money, is we want to celebrate what it is that we do. We want to communicate to the community what it is we do by having this VIP event. And we want to honor those who really actually do the work, the volunteer pilots. So we missed last year's event, and this year it's going to be a virtual event on June 10th. We're doing something different this year. We typically charge money for people to come to the event. It's pretty high price ticket. It's $1,000 ticket to come to the event. Usually most of those tickets are bought by sponsors, but there are a lot of people that do buy and come to the event. We usually have between 400 and 500 people at the event. This year, since the event is free, it's virtual, the entire thing will be free and open to anybody that wants to join. Whether you're part of Angel Flight or whether you're just a random person off the street, everybody's invited to come to the event this year. And I think that's really important because one of the primary reasons that one of the primary people that we're awarding and recognizing this year at the Endeavor Awards is not any singular pilot that went above and beyond the call of duty as a volunteer pilot, but this year we are going to recognize every single pilot that has ever flown a volunteer flight, whether it's for Angel Flight, Pilots and Paws, Veterans Airlift Command. Every single pilot is going to be honored this year. And we can do that because it's a virtual event, and we can do it because it's free and so many people can join. And we're hoping that the idea of offering the event for free will just coalesce more people, draw in more people to our event so that we can accomplish the other goals that we want to do, communicate what it is we want to do and celebrate what it is we want to do. So we are recognizing every pilot. At every event, we also have what we call our Inspiration Award. So we recognize people that inspire people to fly, that motivate people to fly. And this year, our Inspiration awardees are going to be Cy Robbins, who, by the way, if you don't know who he is, Sensor Systems builds almost every single antenna that every aircraft manufacturer uses antennas that he created. In fact, his company makes 11,000 antennas every single day of the year. So he's legendary in terms of what he's accomplished for our GPSs, for our radios, for our ADFs, and we're recognizing him partially because of that and partially because he's always been so generous in the aviation community and given so much. We're also recognizing Tammy Jo Schultz, who you may remember was on a Southwest Airlines flight from New York to Dallas, had an uncontained engine failure and on, I believe it was the port engine. Basically, it exploded and tore a hole in the side of the aircraft. Rapid decompression, and she successfully landed the aircraft in Philadelphia. So we are recognizing her. And then finally, Denise, who is the CEO of UCLA Health Systems. UCLA is one of our primary supporters, one of our primary sponsors, and one of our primary healthcare facilities that we transport people to. And she's been a great supporter of Angel Flight. In fact, she was at University of Washington previously and also was a supporter of us there. And that's also one of our primary services. So we're really excited to recognize her this year. And let's not forget all the great work that UCLA has been doing.
Landlord is working
To COVID this year.
in a part.
I hear somebody talking there in the background. Anyways, so those are every pilot is being honored. Those are our 3 inspiration awardees. So let's talk a little bit about what the event's going to be virtually. We don't know what it's going to be yet exactly, but I can tell you this. Let me talk about some of the celebrities and some of the events that somehow are going to be incorporated in this amazing event. One of our hosts is going to be Greg Kinnear, the Academy Award nominated actor. He actually was the host of our first year of the Endeavor Awards. Pilot Pete, for those of you who watch Bachelor, is also going to be joining our event this year. Red Bull is going to be a big participant of our event, sort of on 3 fronts this year. They're going to putting together a stunt, an event that they're going to do live and exclusively for us during our event this year. We don't know what it's going to be yet. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. They're also going to have the Red Bull Air Force team do a skydive for us. And we're hoping that one of our celebrities may end up doing that dive with them. And they're also contributing the Red Bull helicopter, the stunt helicopter that will probably perhaps have Pilot Pete go on a journey in that helicopter. Sean Tucker is going to be joining us. We think that Jake Owen, the country music singer, will be joining us thanks to Textron. Kirby Chandlis is going to be joining us. Of course, as every year, we're going to have a major contingent of astronauts joining the event. Also this year, I think is great, the original founding members of AFW will also be recognized and be joining the event. It's a group of, I think it's about seven people that really are the founding members of AFW, and they'll be joining the event as well. And then finally, we are hoping, we haven't quite figured out how we're going to do it yet. We're hoping that we're going to have an actual patient being transported during the event, and we're going to actually somehow try to cover it live during the event. So as always, we have a big auction at the event, silent auction, and then a live auction, which might be a little bit limited this year. The event is being coordinated with us, for us, by a big virtual company called Swain. And finally, what we're hoping, and this is sort of going to open the question and answer and involving you guys in this. Finally, we're hoping to have satellite hangar sessions in counties and states in our region that might be open to doing that or might be allowed to do that. So we're hoping that some of our members who might have a little hangar might invite 5 or 10 people to come to their hangar, watch the event together, participate in the event. We might actually have cameras at some of these satellite sessions to sort of draw people in and see what they're doing in their local communities. And so trying to bring our regions all together to connect somehow. So that's sort of a really quick macro view of the Endeavor Awards 2022. Now you can see there's some questions up there because, as I stated, we don't really know exactly what we're going to do in the virtual event. So I kind of really want to open this session up to a little discussion. Primarily, like, what have you guys seen in other virtual events that you've attended that were really cool or were really good ideas, or how they might have done the auction that seemed to work really well? So that's one thing I really want to put out there. And the other thing I want to put out there is, start thinking about if you would want to host one of these satellite sessions. So let's open it up and have people join in sort of virtually and answer some of these questions. So let's just start off with, has anyone had some really cool event happen virtually that they were impressed with that maybe we can incorporate into our event? I guess if you want to respond, raise your hand and Henny or Mary or Kim, whoever's controlling this event, can highlight them, and you can just ask the question verbally.
We have a question from Justin.
All right,
Hey,
Justin.
hey, Mark, how are you? Long time.
Hey, Justin, good to see you, man.
All
What's
right.
going on?
Hey, so before my comments on the virtual event, I do have a question with the Red Bull situation. Have you been working with Aaron Fitzgerald? He's a Red Bull pilot. He actually keeps his helicopter right next to me.
Yes.
Like, well, not right next to me, but down the row. Great guy, amazing guy. So I was just wondering if you guys are tying in with him, because he's so cool. I see him every couple of weeks and pop by, and I haven't gone on a flight with him. Looks pretty intense, but he's awesome.
Yeah, he is. By the way, like your beard, that's all
COVID beard. Yeah,
COVID
thanks.
beard, of course. That I got mine too. Yeah, we haven't been talking directly to him. Actually, I ran into him about 2 weeks ago when I went in for my medical. He was in for his medical at the same time, so we chatted briefly. But yes, he is participating in the event. We haven't been talking to him directly about it because we talked to his, to Red Bull about coordinating it. But
Got it.
he's definitely involved. He's going to be flying the helicopter for us during the event.
I would assume. Okay, great. And then for the virtual stuff, I haven't done a big, large event. So this might not have relevancy, but one of probably the best ones I've done a number of these now, just because I guess working in finance and having clients and whatnot, but it's been a huge success, at least for smaller parties, is where who's ever sponsoring the event, for example, when I've done it with clients and colleagues, is we do like a virtual wine tasting. I don't know if anyone's done that. It's pretty fun, and then you don't have to drive anywhere because you're just at home. But that's worked out pretty well. I don't think for a huge event it's going to be relevant, but those are the most fun ones that we've done, and it's actually been great. And we all had a great time. Where one time it was just wine, and one time it was a whole gift basket of like different foods you could pair with the wine and everything. And usually the wine came from one vineyard. So I did that over the holidays, probably like 3 or 4 of those. It was great.
Okay, great idea. Well, we have been trying to figure out something to do like that. And, if anything, just encouraging everybody to have a cocktail in front of them when the event happens, I think is important. It gets people to give money a little bit easier.
We have a question from Mark Merrill.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, so just some feedback from experience with our company. Basically, with the larger groups, we've found that if you tag, and not with your keynote, but with the follow-on sessions, if you add live polling, and you can change the event to then be somewhat interactive, you can also mine the community for opinions on things. It keeps them engaged.
That's great. I like that idea.
Yeah, and there's like anywhere poll and EV poll and things like that, but we added that to kind of draw people in, and it kind of adds a different dimension, and you can see the live results as you.
Oh, that sounds fun. Thanks, Mark. I like that idea.
Question from
I think Jim Weaver, you had a comment?
I do. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Jim.
I was a spectator on a fundraising event by a music group called Chanticleer a couple months ago. And one of the features they had at their event was almost a variation of a paddle raise, where they had blocks, on the screen where you could click on the rate to donate 10,000, 1,000, 500, 75, whatever. And your name was recorded immediately, and whoever the host was acknowledged your gift verbally right away. Oh, there's so-and-so giving $100. There's so-and-so giving 500. And I don't know the name of the company that actually put the event together, but I do know who the group is that you could check with if you wished.
All right, great. That's a good idea. We'll talk to our tech company that's helping. It's called Swain. I've heard versions of the paddle raise, but I haven't heard of blocks on the screen that you can click on. It sounds pretty easy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim.
Welcome.
Great. Well, we can like I said, a lot of information to cover, and we can definitely circle back at the end. But thank you so much, Mark. And thanks everyone for your input. And we're really excited to put this together this year. And again, excited for all the amazing participants involved to make this the greatest virtual event ever and raise more funds for AFW. So stay tuned for more in the coming months on that.
Thank you so much, Mary, and everybody. Hopefully this virtual Endeavor Awards will give you stuff to say to other people for their Endeavor Awards.
Absolutely. Spread the news. Okay, so next I want to hand it off to Justin Demko, again, fellow board member and part of our finance committee. And Justin's going to speak more about the benefits of donating stocks in our Stocks Take Flight program.
Great, thank you. For those of you that have heard this before, there's not really much new info on this other than just to reiterate that in my professional opinion, the absolute greatest way to raise money for charitable beneficiaries is through the donation of highly appreciated stock. And there is quite honestly no better time to be doing that. We all know about the divergence of wealth that's happening right now in this country and globally. Stock markets at all-time highs where we still have very high unemployment. And part of the reason for that is interest rates are so low now, and stocks tend to do very well in that kind of environment. And I guess maybe the first thing I want to address is I've been absolutely shocked at how many wealthy people do not even know that they essentially get a 2-for-1 benefit when they donate stock. So I'll just walk you through a general example. Let's say that somebody bought a stock for $10 5 or 10 years ago, and now that stock's at $100. If you donate that stock, you get a full tax deduction for the $100. You avoid a long-term capital gain tax, which is probably going to be going up, and you avoid California state income tax. Now, there are certain limitations to how much you can give. Last year, those limitations were actually repealed because of COVID, so they allowed people to go to 100% of what's called AGI. And I have to say right now that I do not provide tax advice. What I do for Leslie, I'm a portfolio manager, I'm a wealth manager at UBS. So I'm not an accountant, but I do play one on TV. What I'm talking about is in general, okay, if you give that $100 of stock, you get a full tax deduction for the $100, and you don't pay capital gain tax, you don't pay any income tax on that. So even if you paid $10 for it and it's now appreciated to 100, you get the full tax deduction at 100. It's very powerful. So for people, anyone that owns stock in an after-tax account, so not like an IRA or an account like that, but if it's just like a regular brokerage account, if you donate that stock, it's very powerful. And every wealthy person or anyone really that even owns stock should certainly be starting their gifting with what's called highly appreciated securities. You would actually never want to give a stock that you lost money on, but that's almost in these times hard to do. I would also say that because of the awareness of things that are happening in the markets right now, like GameStop, everyone's probably been hearing about that incredible story with all these younger people that follow Reddit, and they're moving these stocks. Stocks are now right now a huge mainstream conversation. So just the awareness that people even have stock is on the rise. It's also very easy to do. Most donors, especially older donors, are going to have a stockbroker or they're going to have a financial advisor. You literally just provide instructions to your financial advisor, and they pull the number of shares out of their account. They get sent to the Angel Flight account. Angel Flight then takes that stock into the portfolio, or they sell the stock, and there's no tax implications to Angel Flight for that. And lastly, I would say, on that psychological aspect of it, think about if you had to go to an expensive restaurant or you go grocery shopping and you pay in cash and it's a $300 tab. We all know that it hurts a lot more to peel off 3 $100 bills than it does to just put the credit card down. Well, it's exactly the same way with gifting stock. For some reason, if you paid $10,000 for shares of stock and now they're worth 100,000, there's like a psychological benchmark where you're thinking that that donation cost you 10 grand, even though you're giving up $100,000 worth of value. So I've seen that, and I speak all this from experience because I see it with my clients. It's just such a different psychological thing. If a client is being asked to give a $10,000 donation versus a donation, by check versus a donation in stock, just huge. So I would get the word out on that. Also, we have prepared somewhere on here, Mary has it, is a list of companies. And it really honestly doesn't matter what stock is being donated. I arrange this list based just on general holdings, and also in the Southern California area, in the Northwest, there are companies that are based here, like Disney's a huge one. There's a lot of people that are, and I have clients like this where they kind of worked a regular job at one of these companies, but as a result of getting stock and stock options over the course of 20 or 30 years, the guy in the hangar next to me was a mid-level Netflix guy. He just bought his second helicopter and he's looking for a ranch up in the Central Coast. I mean, he's an extremely wealthy guy because he owned Netflix and he owned it for a long time. Same thing with Disney, Google. So certainly if you know anybody at any of these organizations and they've been there a long time, I have a client of mine that retired at 40 years old. He's a $25 million client of mine. He was early on at Broadcom, which is now Avago. So just so much wealth has been created as a result of being sometimes just a kind of a general employee at some of these companies. But really, Angel Flight will accept any of these stocks. So what I have a tendency to do is if I have a client and I know they've got a nice position, I'll say, hey, have you looked into giving stock away for your annual gifting? And they're like, well, I didn't even know I can do that. What's the benefit? And then you just very simply tell them, hey, you got to talk to your CPA, but there's a huge tax benefit for you to give highly appreciated stock instead of gifting cash or by check. And so with that, I'll stop there. And if anyone's got any questions, please let me know.
Thank you so much, Justin. Again, we do have a lunch and learn on tax considerations tomorrow at 12 that will briefly go over this as well. But if you have any specific questions for Justin, definitely now's the time. We'll follow up with this information by email and some supportive materials on our Stocks Take Flight program. But please raise your hand or unmute. I think Mark has a question.
Yeah, Justin, can you just talk a minute about, like, a lot of my stocks are in, portfolios or with managers, and managed kind of things. What do I tell my broker on that if I want to do it?
Yeah, I'll give you a quick example. A client of mine has a huge position in Apple, and he paid like 300 grand for it, and it's now like a $4.5 million position. So he doesn't want to give up any Apple. He's actually been a contributor to Angel Flight, great guy, but he gives out to like JDF, Juvenile Diabetes Research Fund. And so what we do is he doesn't want to reduce his position in Apple. So what we simply do is we gift the highly appreciated share. So hopefully your advisor would know how to do this. But let's say you've got, a lot of different positions or a lot of different cost basis positions. You simply ask your advisor, and they should know how to do this, is to give the lowest basis. So lowest basis means lowest cost position. So let's say you've got 1,000 shares, but you only want to donate 100. You would ask your advisor to give 100 shares of the lowest basis. That basically gives you the best tax break. And then your advisor simultaneously transfers the stock to Angel Flight. And then your advisor goes in there and buys the same number of shares to replenish the position. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or if it's like, your advisor should be rebalancing or talking to you about rebalancing, usually like on a quarterly or semi-annual basis. So during that rebalancing, what you could say is, man, we've had a great run in XYZ stock. I wanted to gift a little bit of that to my charity, to my organization. Can we peel off a little bit and send that over to them? And the advisor will be like, hey, you know what? It's gone from 100 grand to 120,000 anyway. What's the number you're thinking of giving? And I'll just work that into your rebalancing process. Very simple. The advisor should absolutely 100% not only know how to do it, but give you the best advice in order to get it done in the most beneficial way to you.
Okay, thanks.
And I see a question from Tom. ETFs Alternatives are a little bit difficult because, like, let's say you have an account at Merrill Lynch and you've got like a private equity fund or some sort of an alternative investment. That's going to be pretty tough. You know, if it was somebody making a really large amount, you know, I would say we would try to figure it out. But yeah, REITs, as long as they're publicly traded, ETFs, mutual funds, all that, totally kosher, because all that stuff can go back and forth between brokerage firms. But anytime it's something more complex, we'd have to look into that, and Angel Flight would have to contact you know, our people behind the scenes to see, okay, you know, there's a donor with like a big, you know, private equity fund or alt that they've been successful on. They don't want to pay the tax on it. So we'd have to look into that.
Justin, real quick, just because we get a lot of this support, and I know you and I have talked about it, but folks that have like a Fidelity charitable account or something similar, can you talk about the benefits of that and how, you know, why that's beneficial to set up?
Yeah. So there's, you know, we've all heard that like wealthy people have foundations, but the cost to set up a foundation is enormous. You know, quite personally, you know, clients of mine that even have like $50 million sometimes don't go the foundation route. So there's a really easy vehicle that I even have, which is called a donor advised fund, which many of you might have heard of. It's known as a DAF in the business. I tend to use Fidelity, even though UBS has one. A lot of my clients use Fidelity. We have a link with them, and it's really cool. You set up an account at Fidelity. I think the minimum's like $25,000. You can fund it with stock. Fidelity then, you know, gets you a real nice package. You can name it whatever you want. And basically it's a 501c3. And guys, I'm sorry, I don't know this, but I don't know if Angel Flight has like a DAF sponsor, but essentially what you do is, and I do this for clients, say my client has a huge year and let's say they sell their business or they get just a huge bonus and it's a $2 million, $5 million, $10 million number. Well, the next year they might not have such a big year, especially if they're selling their business. Their income actually might go down the next year. So when you make a charitable contribution, it's most valuable in the year where you're going to be in the highest tax bracket. So, and it looks like taxes are only going up. So, you know, in California, we have a 13.3% maximum bracket, and federally it's 37%. So the state of California, unfortunately, we're already getting above 50%. So what you can do is, let's say you have this huge year. And what I counsel clients on is I tend to think of about it like in a decade block. So think about if you have a budget for how much you're going to be gifting over the next 10 years, and let's just say it's an average number. A lot of my clients will be like, yeah, you know, I want to give like, you know, 50,000 a year over the next 10 years. What's a $500,000 number? So what I would say is in your huge year where you have all this income or you have a sale of a business or something, take a chunk of that money, donate it this year when you need the tax deduction, and then you don't have to spend that on charitable endeavors this year. You can wait, or you can spend your 50 grand out of that 500,000 this year, and then the year after, and the year after. Another benefit to doing that way is it doesn't just give you the big tax deduction, but it also allows that money to grow. Because when you have a donor advised fund, it's going to be in some sort of portfolio. Like at Fidelity, we either have it like in a Fidelity like mutual fund, or we have it in a portfolio that the clients can decide on what they want to invest in. It has to kind of like pass some general financial diversification metrics, but it's pretty basic. So anyway, that's a huge tax strategy for people that have a really big year. So if you know someone that's having a big year, it can really make a big impact on their taxes, and it can basically set up a plan for their future giving over really the rest of their lives.
Great. Thank you so much, Justin. Again, if you have any other questions, please add them to the chat and we can follow up by email and definitely put you in contact with Justin for further details. So we want to move along to our last section, which is focused on AFW's future and legacy giving through planned giving. A planned gift is a contribution arranged in the present but allocated for the future. So this is commonly donated through a will or trust, and planned gifts are most often granted once the donor has passed away. AFW has been fortunate enough to receive such bequest gifts that greatly impact the future investment and sustainability of the organization. And this is an area that we're working to develop further through our legacy wing and provide more resources on our website and communications for our donors about this option. So our last guest speaker is Denise Wilson, who's AFW board member and lead jetAVIVA sales efforts on citation models. So she was previously the president of and CEO and founder of Desert Jet. And I'm gonna hand it off to her to share a little bit more about her experience and consideration about giving a planned gift to AFW.
All right, thank you so much, Mary. Well, just to share with everyone how this came to be on my radar, I was at a charitable philanthropic event in the Palm Springs area, and there was a high net worth individual there who it was very well known over the years for probably donating between 500 and a million every 500,000 and $1 million every year to different charities in the Valley. And one of the things I learned from him that he did was he would buy life insurance policies and buy them in the name of the charities that he wanted to support. And, you know, first of all, let me also give a disclaimer here. I'm not an insurance broker and I'm not a tax advisor. I'm just a pilot like everybody else here. But it was interesting to me. So I did a little bit of research on the subject. And what I ended up doing myself was as follows. I ended up having some rather large insurance policies when I left my previous company. I had some key man policies. And I learned that what you can do is you can either give the ownership of the policy to a charity, or you can list your favorite organization, Angel Flight West, as a beneficiary of the policy. And so for my situation, I have no children, or I basically have a husband. So after we pass, it's it's in our insurance policy and in our wills that we're going to leave everything we have to Angel Flight West. And so what I've learned through the process here in terms of the insurance policies, it's if you decide to take an existing policy that you have and list and decide to bequeath to Angel Flight West, it's very easy to just change your beneficiary. What you'll do is most likely get a tax ID number from Mary and just list the beneficiary and that way with your insurance company. If you're going to get a brand new insurance policy, it can sometimes be a little trickier to list an organization as the owner of the policy, because the underwriting criteria is a little bit higher if the owner is going to be someone other than yourself. So in my case, it was easy. I already had the existing policy. So today I could change the owner to Angel Flight West if I chose to, or I could list the beneficiaries, which is what I chose to do instead, is to list Angel Flight West as the beneficiaries. Now, also, the other way I've been kind of really excited about sharing other legacy and longtime giving methods to people is, and basically in your will, listing Angel Flight West as a beneficiary. Is, if you don't have a will, my 70-year-old mother still does not have a will, and she's pushing back on writing one. But I encourage everyone to have one. It's very easy to list Angel Flight West as a beneficiary, and you can also list, let's say that you do have children or other people that you need to take care of. You can also always list Angel Flight West as a small percentage of your estate, or you can list them as a secondary beneficiary should your children or your spouse, leave first, and then Angel Flight West would be able to benefit after that. So hopefully, my intent today was just to kind of share what I did and to give you some thoughts on how you might be able to also participate in passing on your legacy to Angel Flight West.
Thank you, Denise. It's really an incredible gift that will continue our efforts towards removing transportation as a barrier to access healthcare. So we really appreciate this. And we've listed just kind of how it works again to echo what you've explained, and also on our website, which I've linked in the chat, there's some more information and language that you can take to your attorney or estate planning professional. I think the next slide just has some more benefits that you spoke about and reasons to consider. But really, this all would enable us to continue our mission into the future. So thank you again. Anybody have any questions for Denise or more about planned giving at this time?
Mark
I think
Wolper.
Mark has a raised hand.
Yeah, I guess this is a question for both of you guys, but maybe more for you, Mary. Can we identify specific targets at Angel Flight West that we want the money to go toward? Like
Different programming.
Operations or
Yes.
interns or, patients assistance fund.
Yes, absolutely. That can all be identified, and we can put those funds towards those efforts. So that will be more outlined in our new website when we have this page on planned giving and all the different opportunities to support. Any other questions?
And I'd like just to add, this is such an easy way to support Angel Flight West. If you already have an existing life insurance policy, it's very, very easy to add a beneficiary or to change your beneficiaries if that's your case. And the same thing with your ongoing will and within your trust. It's very easy to list Angel Flight West as a beneficiary there as well.
Great, thank you so much. Again, we'll have the tax lunch and learn tomorrow, which will touch on these gifts as well slightly. So definitely tune into that. I just want to do a quick overview and thank all of our guest speakers again. If you have any other questions, definitely add them in the chat. We will follow up. But to give a quick recap, here are some of the other ways you can get involved in AFW's fundraising efforts. Definitely share and attend our upcoming events. We mentioned Endeavor Awards on June 10th. That will be virtual, but we're also planning to have another in-person golf tournament in the fall. So that's held for September 24th, again at Monarch Beach Golf Links in Orange County. And spread the word on social media. We have a lot of posts that are also highlighting our mission. So all of you are ambassadors to Angel Flight West and can share our efforts to your community. And also Facebook makes it really easy to create your own fundraisers for your birthday. So that's another opportunity. Some of our community has been able to put together third-party fundraisers or their own events that will benefit Angel Flight. That's actually how our 5K run started. That happens in the fall. It started as a an employment engagement program with one of our corporate partners that has now grown into a community event. And this year with COVID restrictions, we took it virtual and it extended across the nation and actually tripled in funds raised. So there's a lot of growth and opportunity there, and we're here to help build out any of those ideas you have. Also, if your employer has any offers in matching grants, that's a great way to double your gift. And then you can connect us to any corporate or community giving opportunities that you might be a part of, and we can do the rest. So we'd like to take the remaining time and just kind of learn from you, learn how we can better support. And these are just some prompted questions, but I kind of want to keep it an open forum and hear from everybody. So please raise your hand or type in the chat.
Joanne has a question about income. It's in the chat. So for income, what percentage of each category, grants, board, and other donations, where does that go? And then a pie chart would be great.
Sure. Sorry, I wasn't so visually, graphically inclined earlier on. I went over our revenue streams. And so about 50% of our revenue comes from individual gifts, and then 20 to 30 comes from our grants team efforts. And then another 20 to 30 does come from our events, which is Endeavor Awards and our golf tournament. We have had some kind of individual cultivation events too, that once in-person gatherings are approved, we hope to do that throughout the region as sort of vision parties as well.
Joanne, too, I put a link to our 2019 annual report that shows that broken down into a pie chart in terms of how everything is listed. I don't know if you can give me screen sharing, Hanny, I'll screen share it, but the link is in there and shows kind of how that breaks down both on what we have to report to the IRS as well as what we look at internally.
You get to
Thanks,
share.
Josh.
Yeah, here you go. I'll share it real quick. So let me zoom in on this one a little bit. You can see it here. It's kind of graphically what it looks like. Obviously, 82% of our services are all donated by our volunteer pilots and commercial airline partners, which is why Mary started that with the most valuable thing you can donate. But then individual contributions, 11%, events 4, grants 3. And then that's what our breakdown looks like in terms of our hard costs. Again, most of those program services are the donated in-kind flights. And then we've got 7% fundraising and 2% for the management piece, which is why we are usually very well reviewed by Charity Navigator and so forth, because so much of the money that's donated goes straight to our mission.
This is Joanne for that. And I guess my only question would be of the individuals, how much of that is the board and how much of it is us other people?
Yeah, so the board's goal each year is to do 10 to 20% of the individual contributions. They set a group goal each year and they work towards that.
Thank you, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my percentage in the presentation excluded the in-kind gifts, that 50% individual giving. So
yeah, we're unique in the fact that while those are all dollars going towards our mission, our cash budget is typically what Mary and her team are focused on a year-over-year basis. Obviously, our program metrics and goals reflect the in-kind contributions that happen from our volunteers and from our partners.
So we have time for more questions, but definitely thank you everyone for joining us today and kind of speaking through creative ways that we can always continue to improve. Oh, I think Mark Merrill has a raised hand.
Yeah, no question. I don't know. It's just something I've always thought with our fundraising activities. We do the Endeavor Awards, we do giving, and then we have the pilots run and we do golfing. But I mean, we've got an asset with the pilot volunteers, with pilots and planes. Why aren't we trying to get more creative around using the airplanes to help raise funds, like a proficiency race, or where the pilot, we're always looking for a reason to fly. Why not enlist the community to help raise funds by flying? I've always wondered why we didn't do that. At one point I got some feedback, well, we asked him to do a lot, but I'm just kind of curious. We've got something unique, something different, something that can be promoted, and we have crazy people that are willing to go do it. I mean, for the Endeavor Awards, we're having people jump out of planes, for Christ's sakes, right?
It's a good thought, Merrill. It's something we should talk about. We do all love to fly. We do have lots of airplanes. When we did we sort of moved a little toward it with the 5K this year, is that we tried to, although it came in late in the game, we decided, why don't we have pilots fly a 5K? They have to fly, three circuits at their airport. So it is something we should look more into for sure. Or AFW poker run, somebody is saying there.
Yeah, no, I just think it's a unique asset we should take more advantage of, and you can promote it and get some interest. And then people could watch it on FlightAware. You could draw crazy figures. You could, donate per mile, per figure, whatever, man. There's lots of stuff we could do.
Fun idea.
I love
Okay.
it. Yeah, fun flying contest. This is great ideas. Thanks so much. And the creativity is definitely what we need and what we leaned on this last year. All right, well, just thank you again. Another reminder about our Lunch and Learn tax consideration for charitable giving and charitable flying session is tomorrow at 12 noon with our NorCal wing leader, Bob Strawn. We also have a second fundraising session tomorrow after the tax lunch and learn. If you missed anything and would like to see us again, we would love for you to join us. Again, everything is being recorded and we'll be following up by email with some more of these supportive links and materials, but we just really appreciate everybody and your time and all your support and everything you do for AFW. So thank you all again and have a wonderful start to your Wednesday.
Thanks, Mary. Thank you, everyone.